Happy Tuesday, baseball whalivers. How we all doing? Welcome to one of our 30 and 30 previews. Today we'll be profiling the Chicago Cubs. So a one, a two, a three. Take me to the Cubs preview. There you go. Calling up the ghost of Harry Carey to help us out. 2021 is going to be a very, very interesting year, Cub fans and baseball fans in general. No one's really sure what direction the Cubs are going to be headed into. This will be a crucial year to figure out what direction the club is going to be going in. We might have gotten a taste already when they dumped Yu Darvish's contract to San Diego, and they let Kyle Schwarber walk. I guess there's just too many. When you're successful, and over the years, there's just too many big contracts that you'll be stuck with, and they have to start trimming the fat a little bit. But it will be interesting to see if the Cubs can recover from these losses. And they also are without Tyler Chatwood this year. That's a good thing. Tyler, they had high expectations for him. What a bust that was. Jose Quintana, always a durable pitcher. He's gone. And Jeremy Jeffress, a good bullpen pitcher. So a big chunk of the Cubs will be gone that was there in 2020 for the 2021 season. And we'll see what does happen. I mean, it's going to be interesting ride because after this season, if the Cubs aren't successful, they could possibly lose Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and Javier Baez to contracts. Now, you'd like to sign all three, but they're going to demand big bucks. And if the Cubs aren't a winning team with them, do you keep them and try to build around young players? But they really don't have much in the farm system coming up, so it's going to be tough to add young players and pay these guys big money. So unfortunately, one or two of these guys are going to have to be cut loose. The only question is, which two or one will be cut loose. Now, we may know a lot by the time the All-Star break comes or the trade deadline. If the Cubs aren't competing, but in the National League Central, there's a good chance they will be competing because of the fact that it is I'm not going to say mediocre division, but everyone's within reach of each other. Maybe the Cardinals are the best team there. But if all goes well for the Cubs, they still have a great lineup. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. And then after this year, they have to worry about Wilson Contreras, who has developed into quite a ball player as a number two bat in the lineup and a catcher. And you don't find too many of those these days. Behind Realmuto, he may be the best catcher in the National League. So it will be interesting, without a doubt. Like I said, a lot of changes are probably going to be made, and I'd hate to see that because it's been a fun ride for the Cubs. The first part of the 2010s was rough, but from 15 on, the Cubs were quite a team, and in a way, they were America's team, just like the Red Sox or the Yankees, where all eyeballs were always on the Cubs, and everyone was happy to see them. Now, the Cubs go way, way back, even before your time, I bet, where they were known as the White Stockings. They were founding member of the National League in 1876, and they became the Cubbies in 1903. A lot of people think of the Cubs as being a feudal organization until late, but throughout the Cubs' history, they have played in a total of 11 World Series and have won 3 World Series titles. And the cream of those Cub winning to ball clubs was from 1906 through 1908. In 1906, they just tore the roof off the place. They had a record of 116 and 36, and that's a modern era record for winning percentage of 763 before they lost the World Series to Chicago White Sox 4-2. Damn, you have such a great record and you lose the World Series, but not only that, you lose to the White Sox. So hopefully a lot of White Sox fans have forgotten about that, but that's a bitter pill to swallow. Then the Cubs redeemed themselves in 1907 and 1908, and they became the first Major League team to play in 3 consecutive World Series and the first to win 2 World Series back-to-back. And then we can just skip ahead. Let's just go way back in the time machine and skip forward to 2016 when they actually rocked the baseball world. But before they did that, they had the rebuild of 2010 to 2014, and they weren't really good. They were one of the worst teams in baseball, to be honest with you. But in 2015, they started coming around. And then in 2016, they became, well, one of the dream seasons of all time, where they won the National League Championship Series, the 2016 World Series, and they ended a 71-year National League drought and a 108-year-old World Series championship drought. And those were the longest in baseball history. So no wonder why the Chicago party like it was 1999, even though it was 2016. It was a well-deserved championship run and celebration for the Cubs and their fans. Now going into the history of the Cubs a little bit deeper, they're known as the Northsiders. And, of course, the White Sox are Southsiders. And nowadays it seems like the White Sox are known as the blue-collar team and the Cubs are known as the yuppie white-collar team. But I still relate to the Cubs and the bleacher bums and everything from when I was younger. And I used to make pilgrimages out to Wrigley Field when I was carefree and single, just to experience the Cubs at least once a weekend, almost every baseball season in my early 20s until my mid-20s. And it was fun. It was a fun experience. And just doing the whole Wrigley Field afternoon, partying at Murphy's and going to Division Street and closing down the bars. It was a blast. It was probably my best baseball trips out of town besides going to Citi Field and Yankee Stadium. The team's all-time franchise record is 11,016 wins, 10,430 losses for a .514 winning percentage. So the history is there for the Cubbies. And I can't go, we'll be here all day if I go year by year and all the great moments, but some of the highlights were the curse of the Billy Goat back in 1945. We remember that, and then lived large until the Cubs actually won in 2016. 1969, when they had an all-star team, which was probably one of the better lineups in baseball for that era. And they probably were a better team than the Mets, and they had a huge 9.5 game lead in August against the Mets. But then they fell apart. And that one stung. That one stung the Cub faithful. And a lot of saying, well, maybe Dave Baseball burns out the Cubs. And there might be some validity to that because they really didn't turn it around until, well, they actually had better talent in the last 5 or 6 years. But took off the stress of being in the daylight every day, but you never know. And then in 77, 79, they always had the June swoon all 3 years where they were leading the division each year, and then come summertime, they would just fall apart. And that's where this theory that Dave Baseball is wearing the Cubs out came to fruition. And then in 1989, they won the National League East Division Championship. And everyone thought they had a shot to do it, but the Giants knocked them off, and that was the year of the World Series earthquake. 1998, they were in the wild card race all season. Was very exciting, and I know a lot of people don't want to remember this, but Sosa and McGuire, the Cubs and the Cardinals, that was quite a ride for everybody concerned. And Sammy Sosa, I know he was on steroids and everything, and it probably helped him a lot. But he did a lot to make Chicago Cubs very vibrant in Chicago and in the baseball world, and he was a good all-around player. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's kind of flown under the radar, and I think he's even skipped the country. But at the time, everybody loved Sammy. He was Mr. Wrigley Field at the time. But eventually, all good things come to an end, and the steroid era canceled basically everything Sammy did in the Cubs fans' eyes. And then in 2003, we'll just say 5 more outs to ease the pain. And Steve Bartman. That's all I'm going to say. You guys know where I'm coming from. But that is as much part of Chicago history as anything, even though I think Steve Bartman got a bum deal on that. And then 2010, 2014, those were some lean years for the Cubs. And I think they were purposely losing to rebuild the organization. It kind of paid off. Theo Epstein at the helm. And Theo should never have to buy another drink in Chicago as long as he's around, even though he's moved on to work for MLB. And also Joe Maddon's another one. Should never have to buy a drink in Chicago. He's the manager of the greatest era in modern Cub baseball from 2015 to 2019. And like I said, it was a fun ride for the Cubs back then. they did it all and captured the heart of America and Chicago. They almost became America's team. Some may even think they were America's team in that era. Because in 2016, they did reach the 100-win mark for the first time since 1935, and they won a total of 103 games, the most wins for the franchise since 1910. They went on to beat the Giants in the National League Division Series and returned to the National League Championships for the second year in a row, where they defeated the Dodgers. As you recall, in 2015, the Mets prevented them from going to the World Series. And that win earned the Cubs their first World Series appearance since 1945 and a chance for their first World Series win since 1908. So everyone was ready for this one. And it looks like the hearts might be broken again, as they were down 3-1 at Cleveland in the World Series. But miraculously, they pulled it out, and that was one of the most exciting World Series ever. Game 7 is one for the ages. And they defeated the Cleveland Indians, another team with a long World Series drought, to become champions in 2016. Now, the beautiful thing about the Cubs is, besides the results on the field, they have so much tradition and things that the fans love. For example, the whole Wrigley Field experience in Wrigleyville, I love it. I mean, to me, there's nothing like doing a day game, getting up early, knocking a few back in Murphy's, going to the ballpark, heading post-game, because it's even more fun post-game in Chicago, going back, heading to Morton's for a steak, and then just doing the town all night. Of course, it takes a week to recover. But when I was younger, I could do it for like a whole weekend and sleep 2-3 hours a night. Now I would need a one-day experience and 2 days to recover. But it's a fun place. Chicago's a fun place. I love the bleacher bums, cool people. I know it's become a little bit corporate now with the rooftop seating, and it's now chic to sit out in the bleachers, but it's still a great experience. We have the Cubs flag always flying after a win, the big W, and everyone knows what that's all about. And the 7th inning stretch, which Harry Carey immortalized, and it's still done to this day in memory of Harry by celebrities and baseball personalities. Now, going into the 2021 season, let's see what we got here. We'll have the I'm trying to find where. Here we go. Bear with me, folks. We have the starting lineup for the projected starting lineup. It's going to be Ian Happ in center field. Great everyday ball player. I love it, Ian. Wilson Contreras, he gets better and better every year. He'll be the catcher. Anthony Rizzo at first base, and this is a big year for Anthony. He'll not only be playing to make the Cubs a better ball club, but for his contract, as will Chris Bryant. And there was a lot of rumors about Chris Bryant possibly being dealt before the season, and I never really believe, when it's that well publicized, I really don't believe it's ever going to happen. They just like to get the name out there and see if it sticks. I would love to see Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo remain with the Cubs, but that remains to be seen. Jock Peterson is the left fielder. He's got good home run pop, and he's had a pretty decent spring so far, so maybe he can come through. And Javier Baez, I think, is the one that they're going to have to keep. He's the short. It's so talented, Javier. He can do everything. I mean, what an athlete he is. He reminds me of Fernando Tatis, but just doesn't get the publicity that Fernando does. He can do it all, and he's their shortstop. And I love watching Javi play. He's become a fan favorite in Chicago, without a doubt. Jason Hayward, they had high expectations for, but when he signed the big contract and came to the Cubs, there's one thing he forgot was his bat. He's still one of the better defenders, and I've seen him make horrible plays the last few years out in the outfield, but he's still one of the better defenders out there. He just can't carry his weight with the bat, but they're stuck with his contract, and it's one of the reasons why the Cubs may be in the situation they're in, but you don't want to pin it on one player. And then Nico Horner is the second baseman. They're going to give Nico a shot. Now, the starting rotation, Kyle Hendricks has developed into one of the best pitchers in the National League. He's a go-to guy. And Zach Davies, everyone talks about trading Yu Darvish, and believe me, Yu Darvish is one of the top 5-10 pitchers in the game, but Zach Davies can hold his own, and that trade may not be that bad. It sort of kind of reminds me of the Mookie Betts trade where the Red Sox got Verdugo, and Verdugo's a very, very, he's no Mookie Betts, but he can hold his own. and has all-star potential out in the outfield. And I think the same could be said for Zach Davies. And Jake Arrieta, they're going to try and rekindle some magic. They're bringing Jake back. And, man, did he have one great year where he was just unhittable for like 3 months out of the year. And Mr. No-Hit Alec Mills. His no-hitter reminds me of that old joke. He pitched in front of nobody. So if nobody was in the stands, was it really a no-hitter if nobody saw it? Well, yes, it was a no-hitter. It was filmed. And Alec Mills will probably be the number 4 man, and righty Trevor Williams will be the number 5 man. The bullpen, I can say one word, Craig Kimbrell. For the big money he signed, it's time for him to produce, and I think he will. And he will actually be, I think, one of the key members of the Cubs to determine whether or not the Cubs make the playoffs again. I don't know. The relievers are funny. There could be something going on in his head, but I think there's just too much talent for Craig Kimbrell not to become one of the top aces again this year. But we shall see. And then Andrew Chafin looks like the setup man before Kimbrell, and Brandon Workman will also be another guy that'll be probably pitching like the 7th inning. Then you can see the rest of the guys on the scroll who will also be in the bullpen. And more often than not, half these names aren't there by the end of the year. But hopefully for the Cubs, they are. It means they're doing something right. And looking to the future, the farm system isn't that deep, and that's what kind of concerns me about the future of the Cubs. There aren't going to be players to replace a Baez, a Rizzo, a Bryant, a Contreras if these guys leave. So either they start paying even bigger bucks to these guys, or it could be a big downfall for the Cubs. But the one guy everyone's got their eye on is Brennan Davis. He's an outfielder. He'll probably be up next year sometime. But other than that, there really isn't much in the farm system. But if you're a Cub fan, never give up. You never have all these years, and there's a shot you can still do it this year. It all depends how the first 3 months go. If the first 3 months don't go well, there could be a firehouse sale and maybe a couple painful years along the way afterwards. If they do well, then by golly, this could be the swan song for the Cubs, and maybe a couple of these guys can salvage a contract with a career year and extend their life with the Cubs. My personal feeling is I would not bet against the Cubs. There's just too many thoroughbreds who have run the race before on there. I know Nolan Arenado and the Cards are a sexy pick right now, but right now I have either one going 1-2. Shoot me if you think I'm crazy, but do that after the video so it doesn't come through the screen. But I think the Cubs may – every year you expect the Cubs to do well, they don't do well. When you expect them to don't do well, I always say expect the unexpected. That's what I'm expecting this year. The Cubs may surprise this year, so there's hope after all. And they have an outside shot at a wild card or division title, let's put it that way. So that's basically my recap on the Cubs for 2021. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is my one Facebook group video that I'll post up in the Facebook group. And as always, I usually post a few more during the course of a day. So if you want to see those, please subscribe to the group and you'll get an update on when the next live video is. And you can always watch it after it's taped on the YouTube site. I have all my prior videos listed there. And if you like the video, please hit like. If you don't like it, please hit don't like. And again, thanks to everybody for being part of a great Facebook group. And thanks for checking out these videos. I'm getting a lot of good feedback from you people. So please do leave a comment. And always feel free to instant message me if you're a Facebook group member. That's it for today. So have a great 2 for Tuesday. Play ball. And we're only about 16, 17 days away. Whitey 4 days away, as I recall, as I post in the Facebook group. Or Whitey 4 or Doc Gooden. You know what? If you don't mention Doc, then the fans of Doc get upset. If you don't mention Whitey, they get upset. But this year I picked Whitey 4 to denote 16 days to the opening day. So enjoy the day. And as always, adios.